Well, good morning everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome to the channel. Hey, I've got the Tacoma back here down because I wanted to take a look at the exhaust. You know, I've been thinking about aftermarket exhausts lately, and you know, do you really want one? Is it worth it? Is it worth it to put an aftermarket exhaust on the truck unless you're just looking for sound? And once you do that, what do you get? I mean, do you get a drone? How does it hold up? You know, I've had this exhaust, and this is an MBRP exhaust. It could be any exhaust. On the Tundra, or the Tacoma rather, for quite a while, and wanted to take a look at it, see how it's doing underneath, and then we're going to go for a ride, and we're going to see if we get any drone in there. What's it sound like? We'll do a startup. You guys can hear what it sounds like with a cold start, and then idling, and then, like I said, running down the road, just to see if we get any drone in the cabin. Because if you've ever had an exhaust that has a drone, and I have, if you go on a long trip, after a while, that drone can become rather annoying. So anyway, let's take a look underneath here. How's this thing holding up? Any issues, any problems? I had a couple concerns when I put it in, and another one has come up since then. So let's take a look. All right, let's go ahead and climb under here. I say climb under here. Of course, it's on a lift, so it's really not that much of a climb. Let's start here in the back, I guess. Move that tray out of the way. Now, what this is, for those of you that don't know, it is an MBRP exhaust. You guys can see right here, which is just a catback exhaust. Starts right about here, about the midpoint of the exhaust, and then it was replaced all the way back, removing the stock exhaust. That meant that you had to have a couple of clamps added to this, one here and one here, and then of course the factory hangers. This one actually has a clamp with a hanger on it where it was installed. So, first concern in doing this, of course, is mating it to the existing pipe. I didn't have any problems with that since it was new. The gasket that's under here was good, and I don't really see any issues. I haven't heard any exhaust leaks or anything there, so I think we're golden. Moving back to the clamps themselves, they have started to rust a little bit, just the bolts, at least on this one. Nothing too horrible. I don't see any rust on the muffler itself. You guys can see around, so unless there's something on top. But then more troubling, we get back here to the second clamp, and you guys can see there is a little bit of rusting going on here on the bottom of the clamp, and that's because there is a leak out of this pipe at some point. I'm not exactly sure where water actually drips off of here. I've got this thing cranked down. I don't think I could go any tighter, so it's kind of just the way it is. I imagine condensation hits the pipe on the inside here, because it does go on the inside, collects, and then kind of comes out here at some point. I'm not exactly sure where. You don't see any rust around the weld here, so it's got to be at the seam. That's a little troubling to me, especially if I wanted to take this off. Eventually, this bolt is going to become rather difficult to free. Moving on back, you have a little bit of rust here at the weld for the next hanger. And then going all the way off to the back, of course, and you can see what that rust looks like right there. Nothing horrible, but over time, you know it's going to become a problem. And then on back, the rest of the pipe, a little bit of rust on the hanger here. Nothing too terrible, just surface rust. And it's all really just surface rust at this point, except maybe on that clamp right up there. That's a little more troubling on the bottom of the clamp. And then we have the tip that we put on. It looks fine. Dirty, of course, because they're going to get filthy driving around. Now, I mentioned I had a little trouble installing this originally, and that's because of clearance. You do have to cut, let's see, you do have to cut, I believe it was this pipe here. I had to take a little bit of it off because they design it for both the long bed and the short bed, and I have the short bed. So I did have to cut this a little bit. Probably could have cut it just a hair shorter, to move the whole thing up a little bit, but it's really wasn't that much, maybe ½ inch, so not a big deal. But my concern was clearance under here. Clearance next to the spare tire, which I do have. It actually has moved a little bit as it's settled and gotten a little bit closer to the tire, but nothing major. It's not touching. I wouldn't have any problem getting the tire off, but just something to be aware of. And then back here underneath this brace here, or part for the leaf springs, I guess, there is pretty tight clearance there in between the pipe and that steel piece. Again, it has settled a little bit, so it's a little bit closer than it was, but nothing too horrible. So I guess no real big problems. It's held up pretty well, I think. There is a little more rust underneath there on the connectors anyway, especially that one clamp, than I would like. But otherwise, not too bad. Not too bad from a quality standpoint, I don't think, for the materials themselves. So now I'm going to go ahead and lower it. We're going to do a cold start. You guys will get to hear what it sounds like from a cold start. Then we're going to go for a ride, check out see if there's any drone in the cabin. I'm using a different camera than I did when I originally checked this, so I'm thinking I'm going to get some better sound. But let's go ahead and get it down and do that cold start. Okay, that was the cold start. Now we're going to start it from inside. Again, pretty much a cold start. From inside the cabin, so you guys can hear what it sounds like inside on a cold start. So here we go. Of course, we have the seatbelt beeping at me or something. But anyway, that's what it sounds like on the inside. So now we're going to take it out on the road, see what kind of sound we get in here. And I'm hoping this microphone picks it up pretty well. I've got everything else turned off, so we should only hear truck noises. So here we go. All right, we're gonna do a little takeoff there. This is from a stop. And then we're gonna go on to a 30, well, I guess it's a 30-mile-an-hour road, so you guys will get to hear what it sounds like just cruising at 30, and then we'll go on to a 55-mile-an-hour road and do a little run there. This is cruising at 30 miles an hour. And the Toyota is, of course, holding its gear. For those of you who talk about the transmission, it is indeed holding probably fourth, is my guess. But there's what it sounds like just cruising at 30 miles an hour. Next, we're going to turn here in just a second onto a 55-mile-an-hour road. And you'll be able to hear cruising at 55 miles an hour. From a dead stop up to 55, and then what it sounds like just cruising, of course. So we're going to get on it just a little. We're at 55 miles an hour, so now we're just going to drive. I'll be quiet for a second so you guys can hear, but this would be similar to what it would sound like on a freeway, going a bit faster, but here you go. So that's what it sounds like traveling at 55 miles an hour. You can definitely hear it in the cabin. Would I call it a drone? Well, you have to define drone, I guess. If drone is a constant rumble or sound from the exhaust, then absolutely. Absolutely it has an exhaust drone because you can hear it while you're cruising. I find myself talking a little bit louder so you guys can hear me to overcome the sound of that drone. Now, some of that is, of course, me just being on camera to make sure you guys can hear me, but there definitely is a sound that you would have to overcome. Sorry for the bouncing around. I don't think this camera has a stabilizer in it. But you definitely would have to talk a little bit louder, I think, to talk comfortably with someone because of that drone. I think you would just do it instinctively. So anyway, that's what it sounds like. Now we're going to head back, and I'm going to do a one more startup for you guys. Truck should be fairly warmed up now, and it is. So I'll do another startup. This will be a warm start, or maybe a hot start. But stay tuned. We'll see what it sounds like after the truck's warmed up. Okay, so there you go. We've put it through its paces, taken it out on the road, shown you guys a cold start, a warm start, and then some noise in the cabin as well. So bottom line, it really is in the eye of the beholder. I mean, if you're looking for something with a throaty exhaust, you get that with an aftermarket, but you just have to be prepared for a little bit of drone, I guess, in the cabin, because they're all going to have it. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you've got a louder exhaust, when you're going down the road at higher speeds, forcing more exhaust through the muffler, you're going to have more sound. It's just the way it is. Me personally, I love it. I don't mind it at all. The drone that there is doesn't really bother me. I like that deeper, throatier exhaust note. It does concern me a little bit about some of the surface rust that I'm seeing underneath already. I haven't had it on the truck that long. I could only imagine, you know, a couple of years from now, it's probably going to be rusted pretty good. So if you're going to do an aftermarket, you might want to protect it a little bit if that's of concern to you. My only real concern is trying to take it off down the road when everything's rusted and fused together. So anyway, I just wanted to get on here, do a little update, show you guys, let you hear what it really sounds like, hopefully with a better mic than what I've had in the past. As usual, appreciate you guys watching. Please give this video a big thumbs up. Let me know what you think of this, and don't forget to click that subscribe button on the way out. We'll see you next time on the web. Have a great day. Bye.